Welcome to the Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast, where sellers can get help starting, building, and growing their Etsy business so that they can make extra money pursuing their passion. Are you ready to get the tips and strategies you need to be successful? Then let's get started. Here is your host, a top 1% full-time Etsy seller, LL.
Etsy Entrepreneur Podcast, where I help other sellers start, build, and grow their Etsy businesses so you guys can make that extra money, get the extra freedom, pay some bills, and maybe one day, hopefully, make your entire living off Etsy. That is my hope, and that's my goal for you as well. So what I want to talk about today is what helps you rank on Etsy. What helps you get seen in the deep ocean of Etsy sellers. This is something that is super important. Obviously, we want to get seen and get our stuff, get traffic and get our products sold and have successful Etsy shops. But like any third-party seller or just like the interweb, there is tons of competition. It's just the way that it is. So you always have to fight against competition. You have to fight against best practices. You have to fight against just the knowledge to take your business and the actions to take your business to the next level. So let's dive through this. Not the world's most exciting topic in the world, but it is something that's going to be super important to keep in mind as you're growing your Etsy business. This stuff is not fun and exciting, but when neglected, it makes your life a lot more frustrating when you're trying to figure out the Etsy marketplace and trying to have a successful shop. So the first thing to keep in mind is your keywords that you're using in your title and tags. You guys need to make sure that they're relevant to what you're selling. You know, if you're selling a purse and then you put a keychain in your tags, or you put something not related to the purse, that item is going to get shown to an audience of people that have no interest in that product, and it's going to dip your relevancy. You're going to start really getting low traffic. It's going to start to dip. Etsy's going to push it further and further back on the search results until it never gets seen. So make sure you're using relevant search terms describing your products and targeting people that you want to find your products. That makes sense. So that's a killer if you're not using stuff that's relative to what you're selling. Make sure in your attributes for your listing that they are relevant as well. You have depending on your category that you select, you have drop downs, whether it's clothing, if it's a type of style clothing, or if it's a type of cup or a type of wall art, whatever the different, it changes. I'm just spouting off different stuff, but it changes depending on whatever category you select. It will give you different attributes to select. So fill out those attributes that are applicable to what you're selling, because it'll help you not get filtered out if someone's searching via categories drop downs instead of the search bar. And B, make sure it's relevant to what you're selling. Otherwise, it's not going to apply. It's going to make no sense. And again, it's going to hurt your relevancy score and push you back further in search results. The next thing is listing quality. So this is basically your audience controls this when you put up a new listing. If it gets clicks, if it gets favorites, if it gets sales, that all helps your quality score over time. So the better, the more interaction it gets, the better it will perform, the more it will be seen, and hopefully the more sales it'll get. So a lot of this stuff plays in ultimately to your quality score. If you guys don't have your stuff filled out appropriately, or good pictures, or the right relevant keywords, it's going to hurt your quality score, and Etsy's going to start booting that listing backwards. Customer experience is obviously a big one. This is reviews, as well as your policies in shop sections being filled out. So the overall experience. So you want to make sure you have good reviews, you're getting good reviews, and then you want to make sure your shop sections are filled out, because that's going to hurt your experience. If they come to an empty shop where it just has listings, no logo, no banner, no shop policies, that's not a good experience. That's like shopping at the flea market where everything's thrown together. You don't know what the niche is. You don't know what they're selling. You got to dig through stuff. So you don't want people thinking that your shop's a flea market. Not that I love flea markets, but you go there expecting that. You don't want people coming to your Etsy store and finding a flea market. So make sure that stuff's filled out and then work towards getting reviews. Your shop will remain neutral if it's new or your listings are new. You'll have a neutral score, so that won't hurt you until you start building up your shop. But as you start progressing, you want to work towards positive reviews and that stuff. So the next thing is recency score. So if your item's just listed or your item was just renewed, you'll get a little bump in search or rank for recency. Now, you used to be able to game the system and people would renew their stuff every day. Etsy's algorithm caught on to that, and it will hurt you if you do that now. So don't do that. It still does give you a bump for a short period of time, but they can tell if you're manually renewing your stuff, if it's not selling or you're manually renewing it. So don't do that. The algorithm knows. Back in the day, a couple of years ago, people were renewing their stuff every day, and it would help them. They caught on to that real fast. So don't do that. That's going to hurt you, and you're going to waste a lot of money doing that. So I got caught in that trap a couple of years ago, and it's just, you waste a lot of money, and it just stops working. So don't fall for that. If people tell you that there is a renewal strategy now, don't listen to them. It's not true. The next thing and the last thing is your shop location. So they want to give people a bump that's selling in the same country, because people would prefer to buy stuff. Like if you're in the UK, people would prefer to buy stuff in the UK. Same thing with the United States. And so they give you a slight bump if you're kind of local, because obviously if you're in the same country, the shipping costs aren't as much and people prefer to get their items a little bit faster. So not that your item won't show up, it will, especially if it's a good high quality scoring item, it'll show up. It just may not be first if you have a similar shop that's selling similar stuff and that's ranked similarly with that. So I'm going to keep saying similar. It's a little redundant, so sorry about that. But that's it, guys. Those are the main things that impact your Etsy rank or your Etsy SEO, whatever you want to call it. Your ranking on Etsy that in return impacts your Etsy performance, impacts your sales, impacts your traffic. The sooner you guys get that stuff set up, the sooner you keep that in mind when you're creating listings, when you're setting up your shop, having that in the back of your mind and focusing on it, the better your shop will perform down the road. It may take time to build, but you have to be consistent over time. But if you're keeping those things in mind, you will see momentum and you will start to see more traffic and more sales if you get these things right sooner rather than later. But that's it as far as getting your shop in order to rank higher. Hopefully that helps you. If you guys need more help, more guidance, more support, I dropped a link below. You guys can get a free 30-day trial to my Etsy Traffic and Sales Masterclass. It includes over 20 walkthrough courses showing you the strategies I've used to grow my shop to the top 1% of Etsy sellers, as well as the community help forum. You can ask any questions at any time, work with me directly. And then I also now have live member-only coaching calls once a month. Jump in, talk with me, chat with me live, ask me questions. The other Etsy sellers are there that I'm working with. We're all working together to grow our shops and be Etsy masters so you can make that extra money that you guys deserve. So check it out. Links below. Until next time, have an awesome rest of your day and happy selling.